Man, we had a hell of a Sunday night game, man. And we're definitely talking about those Rams and those Lions. Whew, what a game this one was, man. That game was awesome. And then, unfortunately, the Rams did not come out without getting a bunch of injuries in there. If you were not able to watch this game, you might have been one of the only people in the world, because according to the NFL, they just released some numbers saying that an average of 21 million viewers was the highest they've ever had for a week one slate. They're saying also that at least 123 million people watched some sort of part of any game on Sunday this weekend. So if the NFL doesn't rule the world, I don't know what does, man. That's some crazy numbers, man. That's why they're able to do whatever they want to do.
McDonald's and Starbucks, baby. McDonald's and Starbucks.
Man, I mean,
people Amazon in there if you want to as well, man.
People think the World Cup wins it, but no, it's only for I was gonna say like a handful of months. But NFL, man, we dominate every single year, baby.
It's amazing.
The world of sports. I mean, soccer internationally is above everything, really.
Yeah, you could easily throw that one in there. Soccer is definitely it's a lot more worldwide sport, but here in America, we got football, man.
America.
Yeah. So anyway, man, if you didn't see it, the Lions were able to pick up the victory in overtime at 26-20, and a hell of a game in overtime. Jared Goff were 18 of 28, 217 yards and 1 touchdown. Stafford, who never looks like he's ever getting old, he went 34 of 49, 317 yards and 1 touchdown. The Rams, like I said before, they did not make it out of this without being hurt. Unfortunately, second-year star wideout receiver Puka Nacua is put on IR with a knee injury. It is a shame to see, and especially because he was one of a lot of people's top fantasy picks, at least probably second round, maybe the third at most, if you were lucky. BC, man, we got your Lions where this was your Lions that you picked to go to the Super Bowl. What's your thoughts on them, man? They came out on fire.
I mean, it was a rematch of last year's wild card round, so it was a good matchup for sure. You hate to obviously see Puka Nacua get injured like that, go on the IL, but you got to play the team that's in front of you. And Detroit executed on a lot of fronts. It was very close. I will say the run game definitely I think carried them in this one. Goff had an impressive showing too, but I think that the passing game, I think it left a little bit to be desired. But again, it's week one. There's the rust coming in. There's still a lot of things that they're working out and everything. Amon-Ra St. Brown kind of had a bit of an off week. He only had about 3 catches for 13 yards. So, it was a bit of a struggle. But, shout out to Jameson Williams. Had himself a game right there. 5 reception, 120 yards. Got a tutty as well. So, even if your main guy is struggling, you still got to be able to find ways as an offense to adapt and be able to do better. And that's what Detroit was able to do. So they did what they had to do to get the job done. Very efficient win for them. And they're going to move on next week. They're going to be at home taking on my Bucks. It's going to be, I think, a really good game, depending on how the injury report comes out over this next week. But yeah, Detroit executed on all fronts, and they're looking good going into week 2.
Yeah, man, Detroit is steadily becoming one of the hardest places to play in the league, man. That place is going bananas in there, man. You can barely hear yourself think, let alone talk to your receivers. I don't know how the Rams were even able to get any kind of communication going, because it was blaring loud in there, man. This is a wild game too, because normally if you would have saw the score, if you would have said that Amon-Ra St. Brown, their dominant number 1 receiver, only had 13 yards, old Lions, this is definitely a loss. This new Lions, they found another way, and they found the running game. The defense was playing well, man. Mike, what's your thoughts, man?
Dude, I mean, the running game has always been good for them since last season. They show that in the offseason they're going to work at it, and they're going to have 2 great running backs, David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, and they're going to do the work, man, and they did. David Montgomery ran the ball 17 times, 91 yards, 1 TD. Gibbs ran the ball 11 times, 40 yards, but also caught 4 passes, 34 yards, and he had a rush TD. So that running game for sure for them is their go-to. It should be their go-to. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown, he did have a bad game, only caught 3 passes for 13 yards, but the reason being is because that secondary is actually pretty good, and they're like, yo, we're not going to let St. Brown score. If we're going to let anybody score, it's going to be someone else other than St. Brown, and that's what they did with Jameson Williams. 5 passes, 121 yards, 1 TD. I mean, last year he was supposed to be that wide receiver 2 that the Lions needed. He didn't because of the injury that he has sustained, but now he comes to this year. He's healthy. He's fast. He's lanky, yes, but you're not going to be able to catch up to him. That's why they do some rush passes with them.
Yeah, you can't hit what you can't see, man. It was lightning fast. He looked great. That's finally what the Lions drafted him for. The rumor was whenever he first got there, obviously he was injured when he first came in the league. They kind of got him on a steal for that reason. But they were saying that he just wasn't catching on the playbook enough. He needed to grow up a little bit. So give him a little bit of time, and he's definitely shown that he can be that dominant number 2. And honestly, I love this run game that they have, though, too. That Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, whenever they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, I think he was the second running back off the board at that time. They took him, I want to say, maybe 11, somewhere in there. Anyways, I don't exactly remember what it was, but it was a very high pick. And a lot of people were like, what are you doing? You guys just got David Montgomery. What are you going with this? But I think they use him in the slot. They use him as a receiver. They're using him all over the place, and it still gives David Montgomery time to do his thing. He also in overtime caught a couple passes himself. So they got 2 dynamic running backs that complement each other extremely well. They got the lightning fast Gibbs, and they got David Montgomery, who I would never call him a power back, but he out of the 2 is the power back, which is a great combo to have, man.
Yep. Well, and that's the way the league is. It's evolved a lot more now. It's been focused a lot more on not just the days of having a single running back, the bell cow back, are pretty much done. Now it's a running back by committee, pretty much, like guys that you want to fulfill different roles. You got really 2 different schools of philosophy. You either have the complementary power back and speed back, or some form of a receiving back and one of those other 2 as well. Or, sometimes you go like what the Bucs did and have 2 guys that kind of play similar roles where you got Bucky Irving and Rashad White, who both kind of have that scat back / receiving back role. They can just kind of sub in and out pretty quick. So, it's a good scheme for Detroit to do, and it makes them more versatile as an offense. They're not having to rely on Jared Goff in the passing game as much. They can also, they have another ace in the hole, another weapon that they can use if the passing game's struggling to get off, which looked like it was a little bit today, again, in spite of, Jameson Williams going off. Everyone else was held to under 50 yards respectfully.
Another thing I wanted to mention was the I don't like the fact that they are changing up the OT rules for playoffs in the regular season. You gotta have it one way or the other. Do it for the regular season, the preseason, postseason, Super Bowl, whatever the case may be. Have it the same exact way, because the Lions got the ball in OT. They went down, they scored. That's it. The game was over. Wow. The Rams started off the game super slow. Then they started picking it up. It's week 1. That's going to happen. And Matthew Stafford started going off. 317 yards, 1 TD. Yeah, he had an interception, but he had 34 completions on 49 attempts. That's like probably over 60% of completion rate. And it's like, if you're not giving him a chance in overtime, when they literally did all that work to tie up the game to get into overtime, now you're just taking it away from them. I don't think it's fair.
Personally, I like the college. I like the college overtime rule. I think that the NFL should adapt that one. I think that's the most exciting. I think it gives both teams the opportunity to get the ball. And let's face it, the NFL loves to have scoring, so that the NFL would be able to scheme whatever they wanted to. College is a little bit different, obviously. NFL is just a better quality product. So I think that they would be able to make it very interesting if they were able to do the same thing. And then like they do in college, once you get to a certain point, you have to go for 2. I think that's what the NFL should adapt, because this happens too often. If you win the coin toss, you get that touchdown, it's over with. I don't like it at all. But man, it wasn't all about the Lions in this one, even though that the Rams did lose. How about Cooper Kupp, man? I feel like that guy every year, because he generally gets hurt. He has a little bit of injury history, but that kid is one of the best damn receivers in football, man. He's just silky smooth. He's not always the fastest. It's his route running ability. It's the chemistry he has with Matthew Stafford, the way McVay schemes him open. And 14 receptions for 110 yards and a touchdown. The guy's damn near unguardable for the most part, man. What do you guys think of Cooper Kupp?
Dude, he had 20 targets when Puka Nacua went down. 20 targets to finish the game. He caught 14 of those targets, only dropped 6. I mean, it's going to happen. 110 yards, 1 TD, man. A lot of people say, he's old. He's not going to be the same and this and that. Bro, that guy has the best route running skills in the NFL. Like top 5. Has to be top 5. And it's like, if you create that much separation, you're going to be open, bro. And especially when you're playing slot, you're going down the middle against these linebackers that can't cover like a corner or a safety. Dude, he's going to get open.
Yep. And route, you hit it really well, Steve, earlier, talking about the route running. It is such an underrated skill and one that doesn't really get talked about as much. Well, it's getting talked about more now than it used to, but for the longest time, most of the time people just focused on either speed, size, catching ability, and that was pretty much a leaping ability, and that was it. But really being able to run crisp routes, being able to make sure that you're able to get in and out of your spots, getting able to your landmarks at certain points on the throw, timing it just right. It plays so much into the quarterback's timing, plays so much into his rhythm. So if you can effectively and smoothly run a route as a wide receiver, it just makes your quarterback's day that much easier. And again, that's in spite of any physical deficiencies that Cooper Kupp might have. He's still one of the best, if not the best route runner in the league.